Well, one of the excuses, if you like, or one of the industries which is being blamed, which is being hit very badly, is construction in these figures. And with me now is Peter Cosmetatos, who's Director of Finance at the British Property Federation. Peter Cosmetatos, do you accept what is being said, that perhaps half of this 0.7% shrinkage in the British economy is down to the construction industry?
Yes, I do. I mean, the figures over the last 12 months, over the last 4 quarters, suggest a fall of 9.7% in construction. And, you know, I think any marginal adjustments are indeed marginal. The picture is very bleak, and it's not surprising because private sector confidence is missing. There's a huge credit squeeze from the banking sector, and public sector funding for any kind of capital investment has dried up. I
mean, what is happening in terms of building? Which of the sectors being hit? Because I have to say, you go out in London, you still see quite a lot of building sites.
Yeah, well, I think that's largely a function of the very polarised economy that we have. Central London is on another planet compared to most of the rest of the country. I think the sort of 3 main sectors that I would identify. One is housing, and there are very well documented, very well understood problems in trying to get that moving. Secondly is infrastructure, and again, you know, we know a great deal about how keen the government is to do something in that area. The government understands the problems. And then the third one is commercial property development. One of the main policies that we and many others, including the Chambers and the LGA and the Core Cities Group, have advocated over the last few years is a policy called tax increment financing, which is all about unlocking infrastructure investment through the surrounding commercial property development that requires it and that can help pay for it. The government adopted this policy about 18-20 months ago. They've barely taken it forward at all. They allocated £150 million to it in the last budget. I'm not surprised that they realised that that just wasn't going to do the trick, and so we get this 40 billion guarantee fund announced within the last couple of weeks. I think we need a much more calm, joined up and strategic approach to working out how to deal with the problems that the government can understand.
And what about home building?
Yeah, home building as well. I think we're waiting for the report from Sir Adrian Montague. I think the options are largely going to be around a bit more flexibility on social housing provision, affordable housing provision, encouraging the private rented sector, and trying to draw in institutional investment into that sector as well, so that we're not just reliant on grant funding and the existing owner-occupier market and buy-to-let investors.
I mean, are you panicking in the construction sector now?
Well, we represent the clients of the construction industry. We're the commercial developers, and I don't think we're panicking. Many of our members have strong exposure to central London and indeed international markets. But as far as the UK as a whole is concerned, the picture is very bleak, and it's a combination of these factors. There is the macro uncertainty that's largely attributable to Europe, but there's also a huge problem in terms of bank finance, particularly for construction. And there is a huge problem in terms of the lack of public sector support for infrastructure and for the sort of public sector contribution to getting anything happening.
And you think the government could make a difference?
I think the government absolutely could, and it's got a lot of the policies that are needed. It's just really, really worried about letting go. I think there's a lot of fear within the Treasury about risking fiscal consolidation in order to promote some of these policies, even though actually I don't think that's needed, exactly as John said earlier. I think they need to get moving. They need to acquire a bit of imagination, a bit of the courage of their convictions, and implement some of the policies that they've been announcing.
Mr. Cosmetatos, thank you very much indeed.